This is 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and the glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishop, and elders, a great millstone that rule well, and peace and blessing be multiplied on all you brethren out there teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. And shalom to the few Akwaf that listen and learn in silence. Shalom to you too. Shalom to the elect, 144,000, and the rest of the elect out there. I'm the brother Dama Gabar, here with another lesson, Lord willing to edify through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and I started with that 2 Corinthians because, it's been a lot of information coming out about, all of this energy rationing and how, it's a huge attack on the energy infrastructure. But, you can't be ignorant because this was a huge talking point during the whole World Economic Forum. Remember, Klaus Schwab was constantly warning about a frightening scenario, a catastrophic a cyber attack, And now you see all this talk of, rationing energy, rationing gas. You hear a lot of talk lately about how the American infrastructure is out of date and is very vulnerable to cyber attacks, and you can't put anything past this damn devil. See, this is why you can't be ignorant to Satan devices, and you can't believe everything that you hear on mainstream news media. You can't believe everything that you hear as far as, the war and the propaganda that comes along with the war, and you can't be so damn dumb and naive not to think that your own government would sabotage and, do some type of attack on its own citizens and blame it on, whoever, blame it on Iran, blame it on Russia, And this is why they're continuously, pushing these narratives of infrastructure and rationing. And now you're hearing about the International Energy Agency pushing rationing, because this is how this devil ultimately operates. They constantly put these things out there. They're constantly mentioning them. They're constantly, keeping these things in the back of your mind so that when these things do happen, they can be, justified in saying, well, we've been warning you and we've been warning you. And then they'll, they can create any type of boogeyman and set the stage to where they can pretty much blame whoever the hell they want to blame for this incident, while the everyday people will believe that, it was never, a plan from the inside. It was never an inside job. It was never part of these elites' plan to bring the order out of the chaos, man. You see, this is why you have to understand the full depths of Satan, and you can't be ignorant to anything in a small matter or a great. And understand that a lot of these things that are happening are all intentional because these elites, these devils have an agenda and they have a plan. All right. And one way that they can get control is by bringing chaos, especially if they bring, more, power outages. Start saying that, oh, the grid is attacking, cyber attacks, and you got to start rationing. And well, this article is going to tell you, you see, and remember, this is all part of the agenda. They're putting these things out there because, it's very possible that there is going to be an attack on the power grid. There is going to be some type of event, staged or not, to where, electricity and power and energy is going to be shut off for a short period of time, to what? To bring chaos, fear, perplexity, desperation, and ultimately to give these elites and the powers that be the advantage over the people. It can give them more control. It can give them the ability to decree more unrighteous decrees, force lockdowns, lock you down, restrict your travel. And you see that, too, especially with this whole airport situation. Now, the government is not, they're in a low key shutdown. So they're not paying TSA agents. Now you got ICE over there inside the airports. You're seeing all these. There's not enough workers. The traffic air controller is not up to par. You're going to see more plane crashes, more accidents, more incidents to put more fear in you people to stay away from traveling. Remember, this is a part of these elites' goal is sustainability, which is to, restrict people to 15-minute cities, restrict your travel, restrict you from using so much electricity and energy and power and gas and oil. And the list goes on and on and on, man. So, hey, these devils are running some major plays. So, you got to be up on game. So let's check out some of this article. All right. And this is what they're proposing. And remember, they're putting this shit out here because they want this in the back of you people's mind. They're going to keep talking about this. You're going to keep hearing about this because they want to keep that out there fresh in your mind. So when, like I said, a situation does happen, they can seem as if, see, we've been warning you guys and we've been telling you, this was going to happen. And now once it happens, guess what? They're going to have all the solutions in place, which is ultimately going to be more draconian measures and lockdowns and you being restricted and locked in your homes, not able to travel. They're going to make it to where only certain people can drive on certain days. Certain people only with certain license plates can get gas on certain days, and just another way that they can lock things down. And remember, they already have a dry run a couple of years ago on doing this. So let's check this out. It says the International Energy Agency in Paris has released a new and urgent document that it wishes all nations with energy struggles to adopt. You see, and pretty soon they're going to push the narrative that all countries are having energy struggles, and this is going to be, it's the same playbook from the C-19er, the 6 feet apart, keep the kids, 6 feet apart, remote learning, work from home, do this, do that. It's all part of the same fucking playbook, but just a different scenario in which they're presenting to the people. You see, and this is why you can't be ignorant. This is why you can't be ignorant and let Satan get an advantage of you, because he's going to play on it and use it to his advantage and mislead you people into, psychologically volunteering to lock yourself down. But anyways, it says many are doing that now. It says the website even maintains a spreadsheet updated daily to celebrate the countries that are following its plan for controlling energy use. And this is nothing more than a WHO, but from the International Energy Agency. A bunch of unelected dipshits, that's going to be pushing the same narrative just from a different angle. It says, before explaining why none of this will work, let's look at what they're suggesting. Seeming out of nowhere, the head of the IEA, Dr. Fatih Birol, is being quoted in the high-end press as the world's expert. See, same fucking playbook, just a different scenario, man. Same bullshit. You see, it says, indeed, he has been a member of the Chinese Academy of Engineering since 2013, and he's nothing more but the Dr. Fauci of the International Energy Agency. And he probably has a horrid past. He's probably a loser, a dipshit, a fraud, a crony, a dickhead, a loser, and all the et ceteras, man. It says, inspired by the manner in which governments were able to control communications and people during this, you see that word there, the COVID crisis, the IEA advises the following: work from home where possible. You see? It says, you read that right. We are back to languishing at home and consuming entertainment through laptops. Some governments, Indonesia, Vietnam, Pakistan, and the Philippines, have already adopted this policy loosely with new measures such as 4-day work weeks. See? Reduce highway speed limits by at least 10 kilometers. That means lowering all speed limits by 6 to 7 miles per hour, which is really nothing more than a method to create an annoyance. Yeah, lower speeds reduce fuel use for passenger cars, vans, trucks. But is that even true? Not always. Right. Here it is. You're going to slow down and go slower, but the fucking price of the gas ain't going to fucking get any cheaper. So it's really no point. Remember, this is just more tools of control, more ways that they're implementing these, putting these things in place, for you to have to comply to and for them to have control, man. More unrighteous decrees. To do what? To take away the right from the needy. You see? Look at this. Encourage public transport. That exhortation has been the dream of city planners for probably 50 years. Not everyone can do this, of course, and a mandate like that will cause many just to stay home. See? I'm not going to read every single article. It's a lot. It says alternate private car access to roads in large cities on different days. Now we're getting to a policy that drove an entire generation batty in the 70s. In those days, even odd license plates were allowed to access gas, but this was more intense. You see, I said that. Alternating access would require a massive policing effort, one that is without precedent. Yep, number plate rotation schemes can reduce congestion and full intensive driving. It's just all more control, man. You see, and ultimately to keep you people locked down. See, it says increase car sharing and adopt efficient driving practice or whatever. Efficient driving for road commercial vehicles and delivery of goods. Here we get the old essential, non-essential divide. Commercial deliveries are allowed because we have to live somehow, but driving to the park for a picnic or visiting friends and family is not. You see, same fucking playbook, man. You see, this is why Elder Apostle Kabar always said that, these elites, they're not. I forgot the guy that he quoted as saying that these elites are not very prolific, man. They just have a formula and they stick to the same bullshit, man. Like I said, and the average person, they'll fall for this shit. They won't even be able to put this with the what happened during the whole last lockdown and see the same similarities. And it's the same bullshit, the same playbook, just a whole different scenario, man. It says divert LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, blah, blah, blah. It says avoid air travel where alternative options exist. You will surely notice that this is already happening. My recent flight bookings have doubled in price. Right, you see? I just said that. This is why you're going to start, now this is why they're not funding the TSA. This is why now they got ICE in the fucking ICE working in the airports. So they can do what? Be more, so they can deport more motherfuckers. So they can basically set up this police state. Have ICE work in the airports. On transit, it's going to do what? Put more fear into people. It's going to make people not want to go out and not do anything. This is why you're going to see more, air traffic problems, more airplane crashes, more, longer, more expensive flights, longer lines in the TSA to where it's just going to be no point in even trying to book a flight or traveling. It's just going to become such a issue and a headache. It's not even going to be worth doing it. And we know that was a plan of these, of the WEF as well. It says people miss flights or simply bail out and go home. This is also causing connection to fail. Events this weekend that relied on travel are a bust. It says reducing business flights can quickly ease pressure on jet fuel markets. Right now, they're telling you that, it's the whole the energy problem, the oil for the planes is getting too expensive. It's just getting harder and harder to travel for the average everyday person. So it wouldn't be safe for you to do it. But meanwhile, these elites and these super rich people are going to be flying jet setting all over the fucking place without a problem, without an issue, without a hiccup, nothing. Look at this. Where possible, switch to other modern cooking solutions. Yeah, look at this. Leverage flexibility with petrochemical feedstocks. Implement short-term blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it says these features of this plan that surely remind you of what we went through just a few years ago for purposes of controlling infectious disease. It's uncanny how there is a spooky overlap between those methods and these. They all require staying home, hunkering down, reducing consumption, complying with edicts, feeling afraid both of shortages and of methods of enforcement. Right. This is why they're going to have ICE. That's why they got ICE at the airports now, man. You see? It's all part of these devil's agenda, man. It says to be sure, you could say that the IEA actually has no power, but they're going to give them power. It has more recently been a top advocate of net zero energy policies associated with what is known popularly as the Great Reset. You see? And who was in charge of the Great Reset? The World Economic Forum, the WEF, Klaus Schwab. You see, it is not a private organization as such, but a non-government branch of the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, meaning quasi-official, but without the power to enforce its edict. But they'll just give them power and just say that, trust the experts, trust this guy, trust these people. They know what they're talking about, Yep, it says the IEA bears some resemblance to the World Health Organization that is within the United Nations framework. The WHO has no enforcement power either, but its pandemic declaration and recommendation to the world that everyone adopt the methods of the CCP had a major influence. It has what is called soft power, not coercion, but authoritative, and something that every government can use as a cover for misdeeds. To do what? To declare unrighteous decrees. Isaiah the 10th chapter. See, most people today have never heard of the IEA, but the same was true of the WHO just 6 years ago, until it became a controlling force in our lives. At one point, the internet censorship was so intense that YouTube announced that it would not permit any video that contradicted the advice of the WHO. That really happened. The same could happen here as well, you see? Yeah. Yep. None of these measures will reduce the price of oil, gas, or anything else. What you don't consume, someone else will. This is the whole point of rationing, to make sure that resources flow to uses deemed essential and away from those deemed unessential. You see? So there you go, man. All over again. Same playbook, just a different whole situation, man. It says, yep. And this is why, they're going to continue to milk that situation over there in the Middle East with Iran and Trump and that situation to be able to bring in more systems of control, man. All right. So let me get this. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. It says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. All right, and this whole IEA is nothing more but his wickedness being hid under this, so-called agency, as if they're giving you recommendations on how to, cope during these critical energy problems, But really, it's all being done in wickedness, but it's being framed as helped and benevolent and for the greater good, But it's really cloaked in deception. All right, let me jump down here. It says, verse 16, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. Yeah, and that whole situation and this whole IEA and what they're doing is nothing more than a pit that's being laid for you people to fall into. That's all it is, nothing more. You see, it says he will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. And if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. Right. Oh, the energy problem, the gas and the Iran, and there's no more. They're going to do the same thing pretty soon with rationing food because of the fertilizer and all these fires. Nebraska's on fire. The bad cropping season, all this extreme heat. These shipping lanes are going to be closed. They're going to come with a bright idea and plans when this famine starts hitting in a major way as well. It said, if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet he shall undermine thee. You see? And this is what this whole situation is, a big undermining, but presented as help and, as help and, a good idea. But really, it's just, more systems of control and how these devils are going to lure everybody into this NWO. So, hey, definitely keep our eyes on this, man. Hey, don't trust this shit for a minute. See it exactly for what it's for. And this is why you got to be circumspect and not ignorant of any matter of small or great, man. So with that, hey, Lord willing, this is edifying. God praise and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai for putting the spirit of me through this lesson. Lord willing, you are edified. Into the next one, shalom.